Imagine standing in a room full of people. You quietly whisper one sentence into the ear of the person beside you. Nothing dramatic, nothing shocking, just one sentence. That person whispers it to someone else, then another, then another. Eventually, the sentence comes back to you. Only now. It barely resembles what you originally said. The words changed, the details changed, the meaning changed. That's the strange thing about gossip. It rarely travels, it evolves. Meet Emily. Emily has just started working at a new company. A colleague leans over and quietly says, "Have you heard about Tom?" Emily pauses. She hasn't. The colleague smiles. "You didn't hear it from me." Within seconds, Emily knows something personal about someone she's never even spoken to. She feels uncomfortable, but also curious. Why? Because gossip isn't just information, it's an invitation into the group. Imagine standing at the edge of a canyon. You shout one word. The canyon sends it back again and again. Each echo becomes quieter, but also slightly different. Gossip behaves the same way. Every person adds something, removes something, emphasizes something. By the end, the story often reflects the people repeating it more than the person it began about. For most of human history, knowing who could be trusted mattered. Who shared food, who broke promises, who helped others, who couldn't be relied upon. Talking about people wasn't always pointless. Sometimes it helped groups survive. Our brains became incredibly interested in social information because understanding people often mattered just as much as understanding the environment. Imagine everyone carries an invisible wallet, not filled with money, but with attention, stories, reputation, interesting information. When someone shares gossip, they're often spending that social currency, sometimes to entertain, sometimes to bond, sometimes to increase their own status. Because the person who knows something can briefly feel important. Imagine two headlines. One says, "Neighbor has a normal Tuesday." The other says, "Neighbor caught stealing." Which one grabs your attention? Our brains are naturally drawn toward information that might signal danger or risk. Negative stories spread faster because they feel more important, not because they're more accurate, because they demand attention. Remember the childhood game where one sentence is whispered around a circle? By the end, it's completely different. Not because people intentionally lied, because memory isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. Each person remembers slightly different details, adds assumptions, removes context. By the time gossip reaches its destination, the original message is often almost impossible to recognize. Have you ever noticed how difficult it can be to stay silent when everyone else is talking? Sometimes people gossip because they genuinely believe they're helping. Sometimes because they don't want to feel left out. Sometimes because everyone else is doing it. Joining the conversation often feels easier than questioning it. Imagine throwing a stone into a still lake. The splash lasts a second. The ripples travel much further. Words work the same way. The person who starts gossip may never see the final consequences, but the ripples continue long after the conversation ends. Reputations change, trust weakens, relationships shift, all because of a sentence that took only a few seconds to say. Think about the people you trust most. They're probably not the people who know everyone's secrets. They're the people who make you feel safe sharing your own. Real trust isn't built by collecting information about other people. It's built by protecting it. The next time someone begins a conversation with, "Don't tell anyone this," pause. Ask yourself something simple. If the person they're talking about were standing here, would this conversation still happen? If the answer is no, maybe the conversation isn't strengthening trust. Maybe it's quietly weakening it. Gossip isn't just about words, it's about responsibility. Every story you repeat becomes part of someone else's reputation. Every rumor you pass on becomes part of the echo. You can't always stop people talking, but you can decide whether your voice adds to the noise or helps bring it to an end. Because in the end, the strongest reputations aren't built by knowing everyone's stories. They're built by being someone others know they can trust. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to How to Stick. Every week we uncover the hidden psychology behind the way people think, behave, and interact through simple, animated stories that make complex ideas stick. One simple story at a time.